while everybody's hopping on and get some music started because I totally forgot that. But it's Wednesday, midweek. Today, that's Kenny Day for me. I'm coming to you from Maryland, just above Baltimore. I'd love to know where you guys are at. I love knowing where everybody's at in the world because it's always fun when this one thing that we're doing, this internet thing, connects us to so many people around the world. It makes it really cool to me. I want to talk today a little bit. We're going to talk, I'm always talking about insulin resistance, but I was like, what am I going to say today? What am I going to talk to these people about? And I'm like, well, let's just see what they want. What do you guys want to talk about? I have a couple of things to talk about. I always do, and I would love to answer your questions. So, there's some things above. This is a short list because there's so much more things that relate to insulin resistance. So, if it's, do you want to know what insulin resistance is, what causes it? I'll definitely go over how you can help take care of it. But if you have questions, like somebody said yesterday, and it's a valid question, so I'm not picking on anybody, but they're like, does all of that really relate to insulin resistance? Yes, yes, it does. So most of our disorders today are foodborne disorders. Let me get this music on because I'm feeling like I need it today. But it's just not picking up my face. Does my face look really different than normal? Whew, it must. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. Okay, so back to insulin resistance. Yes, it does. You know, I listen to doctors every day, and I'm really excited I have some news. But they're talking about, we have medications now. We don't have the viral things now. We don't have these weird plagues and stuff that are taking lives. We don't have all of that going on because science and medicine is taking care of a lot of that. But what's happened now is, as we started taking care of stuff with science, we forgot to take care of our food, and now we're getting sick. And now most of the disorders that we see today are coming from foodborne illnesses. It comes from the fact that our food is imperfect and it's making our body sick in a number of ways. Look, this body of ours has so many actions going on in it every single day, and if it's not getting what it needs, it starts to go defunct. So think about, like, if you don't change the oil in your car and you just drive that car constantly, 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 but you never put gas in it, you never put oil in it, or you put really, you put the wrong oil in it, or you put diesel in a gas car, what's going to happen? Things are going to start to break down. But that's what's happening to our body. We've stripped things out of our food, we've changed our food, and now we're getting sick. And then we're like, but how? How does all of this come from the fact that it's insulin resistance? Well, we're going to go over that. So you guys ask, I'm going to answer. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Maybe. I always get the buttons wrong. There we go. There we go. All right. So the exciting news is, a doctor reached out to me, and we're going to start working together a little bit. So I love the Feel Great system. Absolutely love it because it took care of all of that stuff for me. I lost like 55 pounds at almost 60 years old, which, yes, I will be turning 60 in a couple of months. I started having some weight loss issues. Like I got to I wouldn't call it a plateau, but I had my gallbladder removed. I had a number of things. So we're going to work on some of that so that I can help other people with those same issues, because I feel like I'm the guinea pig in life. What if That's why I'm here talking in the first place, is because I suffered from so many things, and I want to help other people get better just like I was able to get better. So let's dive into all of this stuff with insulin resistance. I just put up a video on vertigo because somebody asked yesterday. So ask. If I don't have the answer here, I'm going to go find the science and I'm going to give you an answer in a video. So don't be afraid to ask. So that's a good question. I love it because I don't really feel like being all technically this morning anyway. I can be if I need to be. Misha. So you guys want to hear the Misha story? My given name is Michelle Fayon, and when I share the protocol, I use it. I always say make sure it says Michelle Fayon up there. So I was born as Michelle. Um, Gosh, it's been over 20 years ago now. I was dating someone, and they started calling me Misha. At the same time, it was just before I started powerlifting, but I'm Native American. My animal totem is the bear, or one of them. And Misha in Russian meant little bear, from what I could find out. So it just fit and it stuck. And people started calling me Misha. It was a cool nickname. I liked it. Then I started powerlifting. And when they called me to the platform, it was always Gino would always be like, Misha. And it was just so fun and unique. And it just put me apart from the other Michelle. So Misha is that. I hung on to the little bear thing because that's kind of my personality, my stature, my build, my everything. So Misha, the little bear, that's my nickname that I've gone by for over 20 years. Considered changing my name. Not sure I want to go through all the rigmarole that it's going to take to change it. Yeah, not everybody does get a cool nickname, and I'm really fortunate for one that stuck. Like I got called Mickey when I was younger, hey, Mickey, you're so pretty, whatever, you're so whatever. They used to sing that song to me. I used to get the Mickey Mouse song sung to me, and that was fine when I was a kid. But as Misha, I feel like that really fits me. So thank you for asking, because I like to share little bits that people care about when I can. So you guys ask questions. If it's about the system, if it's about insulin resistance, great. If you just want to know more about this crazy life of mine, I'm willing to share that too, because we're all just human and we're all going through stuff and we're all, living this life. And why not share it with each other? Maybe you'll find some hope, some inspiration, some something. I hope. Mm. In fact, this morning before I got up and came out to do this live, I was laying in bed doing my visualizations, which I've been honestly struggling with lately. I feel like what most people don't know is 2.5 years ago, before I started the protocol, not only did it change my physical life, thank you for all the loves, it changed my financial life. I always struggled, and like I always wanted things. I got to this place where I love where I live. I have the car I want. I have the time ability with my grandson that I want. And so I'm kind of like, I kind of love everything around me. What do I want that's more? So I've had some struggles with like setting bigger goals, and because I just really am in love with where I'm at in life right now. But if I want to continue to help people, I have to have a bigger voice and get out there and say more stuff and touch more people. So that's where we're at. That's what I was visualizing this morning, is helping more and more people get healthy. It's been a vision, actually, when I think about it, since I was 5 years old. So when I was 5 years old, I can remember leaving our house out in the country. I grew up in North Idaho, in the country. We had cows, we had pigs, we had goats, we had chickens. We had all the stuff. And I would sneak out while everybody else was sleeping, and the grass is still wet and cold. And I would kneel down in the garden and pray that God would take me someplace and let me help people. That I remember clearly saying, part of this was dysfunction, by the way, saying, my family doesn't need me, God, please let me go someplace where I'm needed and I can help people. So that's, I guess, kind of how my whole life has been. All right, so let's dive into insulin resistance, because that's what we're here for, and that's what's going to help people. You guys, 93% of us are sick from metabolic issues. At the base of metabolic issues is insulin resistance. And insulin resistance really just comes from the fact that our cells are becoming resistant to a hormone that transports the energy that we create out of the food that we eat. Why are we resistant to it? And I have some that cues some things I do want to talk about. There's this balance in insulin where, like, you can have too much insulin, it's pre-diabetes, diabetes. You can have no insulin, type 1 diabetes. And the balance point's not really in the middle. It's closer to the type 1 diabetes than we would think, according to the doctors I've been listening to lately. So when we talk about insulin, we want enough insulin, just enough to transport that energy, but we don't want so much that it's kind of running rampant in our system. We want enough to say energy's delivered, insulin goes to bed, the rest of the body can function. What I want you to understand is that insulin is like, yes, Sally, So if you're having, especially if it's reactive hypoglycemia. So thank you, Sally. She says, if you're hypoglycemic, are you still considered insulin resistant? You can be. I shouldn't just say yes. For me, just about everything leads into insulin resistance the more I've learned. But if it's reactive hypoglycemia, let's go over what's going on, okay? So with that, oops, I pulled up the wrong ones. So when we're eating, our food is converting into energy. That's really what we're doing, right? We're taking in calories. Calories is a form of measurement of energy. We're taking in some nutrients too, okay? Yep, getting blurry vision, head's absolutely gone with, I don't understand that. But watch the video when I'm done here today about vertigo that I just did. I decided I'm going to kind of go that route this week. But hypoglycemia, so the foods that we're eating have been stripped of the natural things that are supposed to be in them. And the biggest one is called fiber that slows down the delivery of that energy. So it's not like we shouldn't get our energy in this big hit and then it's gone. And that's kind of what's happening to most of us. So we're hungry all the time. We're fatigued all the time. We have brain fog. We have all this stuff because we have energy that hits and then it's gone. What we should be getting is energy that's sustained and is delivered throughout the body through a time period after we eat and allowing us to utilize all that energy. So with reactive hypoglycemia, what's happening is the energy is converting into sugar, or the food is converting into sugar, which is energy, too quickly, too much, and it drives the level of insulin up. Now, when we do this over and over, when we're eating every 2 hours, when we're eating calories that convert into glucose too quickly, so it's not just about the calories, guys, because fat calories don't convert to glucose, and it's not going to create a spike in insulin and store fat. We're talking about hypoglycemia. Stay on track, Nisha. So you get this spike of sugar, get a spike of insulin. Then we're training our body to do that over and over and over. Now that insulin kind of like, think about it like it gets stuck. Like you push a button too many times and the button is just stuck because you're pushing it all the time. That's what we're doing to insulin. Now it's stuck up here and it's not wanting to come down because you've told your body that insulin is needed all the time. So now at this point, with insulin resistance, when you've had too much, too long, all the time, your sugar goes up. Insulin says, oh, I got a job to do. And it runs and it delivers all that energy like quick, 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 quick. It delivers it fast. And now your blood sugars drop because insulin did its job. So now you have this hypoglycemic feeling and you're hungry and you're tired because insulin is still out here. Now you have this huge gap. So your body's saying it needs energy because insulin, instead of delivering the energy over time, it's delivered it. Okay, so it's delivered that too quickly, and now you're having this roller coaster ride of high sugars when you eat. Your sugars drop really quickly after you eat. If you're having reactive hypoglycemia, you probably have some dizziness from time to time, some fatigue. You feel cold or shivers after you eat. And you guys, it's frustrating because I asked doctors for years, why is this happening? Far before I became diabetic, I was having this reactive hypoglycemia and the doctors weren't catching it. So you can still be hypoglycemic and still be insulin resistant. And by the way, before I answer this other question, hypoglycemia, guys, according to Dr. Ben Bickman, which is my favorite book, which is So Tattered, Why We Get Sick. If you're new to me, please go find this book, read it if you're serious about your metabolism. You'll understand why all of this stuff is written up there. Get this book. Now, your blood sugars can drop to about 60. Oh, thank you. I so appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you. So I'm going to actually be sending you some texts after this live. It's been a crazy few days. So I'm so thankful you found us too. All right. So when your insulin levels drop or your sugar levels drop, they can go down to 60 if you're not feeling sick, you're not feeling tired, you're not feeling like you're going to pass out, you're not feeling those shivers. It's normal. I did a 10-day fast earlier this year and tracked my insulin levels and my sugar levels and my ketone levels, and my blood sugars would drop down to about 60, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, danger, danger." But I'm also like, I feel kind of good. I'm fine. And then I would watch those blood sugars start to rise I'm not eating. I'm not putting any energy in my body, but my blood sugars rise and they go up to about 120, and then they start to dip back down and they'll drop down to about 60, and then they start to rise again. Well, where's all those blood sugars coming from if I'm fasting? Because I have energy stored on my body. It's called sugar. So that's part of the reason I test ketones. We'll go over that later if anybody wants to know why I rely on ketones, just as much as I rely on the blood sugars after I learned this piece. So um, hypoglycemia is not dangerous. It's a natural function if you're metabolically healthy. When you're metabolically unhealthy, that 60 dip in your glucose can feel devastating because your body doesn't know what to do when the blood sugars get down that low. It doesn't recognize, hey, there's fat there I can burn, because you've trained it to rely on insulin all the time for energy. So we've got to maybe get that more leveled out, and then those dips in your blood sugars are normal, but they're not creating that fatigue and cold that you're feeling now. So Tracy says her sugar is perfect, her A1C is perfect, her hemoglobin is totally fine. However, weight gain and PCOS. I do want to address something first because I've been listening to Dr. Lustig. Like I said, I listen to doctors all the time. He brought up a good point. Not everyone who is obese is sick, is metabolically sick. There is some genetic disorders. There's some differences with people. So obesity doesn't always come from insulin resistance, although primarily it does. But when you say I have weight gain and I have PCOS, now we're going to take a look at insulin resistance, because when doctors are testing for diabetes and whatnot, they're relying on your A1C and your sugars, and they're saying, well, these are all looking fine, you're okay. But what they're not catching is that insulin resistance is going on in the background, and it's causing you to store that excess energy that the cells don't want to take up in your fat cells. Now you're gaining weight. Okay. Your blood sugars look fine because insulin still has places to store that excess energy. So it's not running around in your blood anymore. It's storing in your fat cells under the muscle wall, in the visceral fat, but also in the subcutaneous fat, the jiggly fat that's on the outside of your body. So you're having this storage thing going on where you're still filling up, you're still filling up. Some people, and I haven't gone over this for a while, there's actually two types of fat, but there's two types of fat. So some people are born with the same amount of fat cells that they have today. And those fat cells have just inflated and depleted over time. Some people, that's called hypertrophic. So it's growing and depleting. And then some people have hyperplastic fat cells. By the way, those Wegovy, those things create more hyperplasticity in your fat cells. So be careful. Hyperplastic means that they're duplicating like little bunny rabbits. So maybe you're gaining weight, and your body says, "Oh, there's more energy. I need more places to store this." So you could be a person who has excess fat cells being created as you're overloading your body with energy, but you're still resistant to insulin because the other cells in the body don't want it. So it's going to fat instead of to the energy that it needs for your liver, for your kidneys, for your stomach, for your brain, for everything else. Now, PCOS is happening because not only we talk a lot about the liver and the kidneys, all of that, we don't talk enough about, or I don't talk enough about, ovaries and whatnot. So when you have insulin resistance, PCOS is metabolic infertility. What's happening with PCOS is your ovaries are not converting um, sex hormones in your body. So we're going to take a little step back. All hormones start out as androgens. So we're just going to say testosterone. Okay. It's the one of the biggest androgens. So it takes it from testosterone in women. It goes through the ovaries. They convert it to estrogen based on the portion of the cycle that you're in. Your follicle stimulating phase, your luteal phase, all of those things. It takes that ovaries take in and they say, I need no energy, no insulin, or no estrogen right now. So I'm not going to convert testosterone. And then throughout the cycle, it goes, hey, I need estrogen to complete all of these processes. So it starts converting more androgens into estrogens, progesterones, and then you have normal cycles and you have normal phases going on. But with insulin resistance, it's like your ovaries are drunk. They're not getting the cue. They don't understand, and they're like, what's going on? And so they're not converting the testosterone into the estrogen, so that totally affects how your eggs are produced. I'll go into it a little bit deeper. I see a bunch of messages, so I'm a little I got to get to them. But all right, PCOS, when your ovaries are not producing that estrogen at the right times, your ovaries are creating or releasing these eggs every month, right? So now what it's hoping for is that there's one, sometimes there's more than one, but typically there's one that it's like, this one is super healthy, and the brain starts to cue that, oh, there's an egg that's ready. We're good to go. We can create a human being now. So the brain starts to create these cues for hormones that tell the other eggs to basically go away. But estrogen is key in that phase. And if estrogen isn't able to be converted from testosterone, the brain's not getting the cues to have the rest of those eggs go away or dissipate. And those other eggs that are not going to be viable are just hanging around. Well, eventually they start to die off instead of being dissipated, and they fall into the lining of the ovaries. When they do that, they make these little pockets of inflammation or infection called cysts. So poly, many, cystic, these cysts from the eggs that couldn't get dissipated because of the miscues of testosterone to estrogen at the right time. And now you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Your periods are wildly off. They're never, you can never tell when they're going to happen. They're painful because all of these processes aren't happening right. You're not able to get pregnant, or you're told that you maybe can never have kids. You start to get the insulin under control so the ovaries can take the cues properly. It's going to start to convert the testosterone into estrogen at the right time of month for you. Your periods normalize. You start to be able to realize, oh, I can have a family. I have a number of women who were that way. They were PCOS. They wanted kids. I was that way when I was younger. Unfortunately, we didn't have all this knowledge back then. But these young ladies now have children when they were told they probably never would, and their periods are normal, and they don't have the pain, and they've lost weight, and they don't have the brain fog or the anger or the hair on the face or the missing hair. So it totally is linked to insulin resistance through this whole complicated process, but it's completely linked. So, and if anybody wants to know about erectile dysfunction, it's similar, different actions, but similarly metabolical dysfunction in a man's body. So let's see what's going on down here. Okay, so yeah, if you're overweight and you avoid eating but still gain weight, and you always feel bloated, I want you to understand, you guys, this is, yes, there is some things about calories, right? We all want to not overeat more energy than we're utilizing. If you're active, you're going to need more energy. If you're not as active, you're going to need less. But your body doesn't get the cues to utilize the energy when you have this insulin resistance that's creating all of this dysfunction in your body. So you're going to be storing more fat regardless, because the food that you're eating, and you guys, let's talk about this really quick, because it's not just about this insulin resistance. It is, and it is, and it is, but I also want to make sure that you understand it's not all about calories in, calories out. You can take in less and less calories if you're insulin resistant and your food's not converting properly in your body. You can take in 1,500 calories and gain weight if you're insulin resistant. When you get your insulin under control, you can have a more normal diet of about 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day for most people, and not gain weight and feel good and have this metabolic flexibility that allows you to have the right amount of fat, because we don't want to be too lean. We don't want to be too fat. We got to be right in the right spot. But insulin is interfering with that. So whether you're eating a lot or a little, if the food isn't converting properly and you're getting these sugar spikes, you're still going to have a problem. I do believe in fasting. Let's say that. I'm going to go over the protocol that I use in a little bit. But fasting is one of the ways that you can help your diabetes, all of this energy level problems. You are not going to be eating up your muscle cells. If you have excess fat on your body, let's think about this really quick. If you have excess fat on your body and you go into a short fast, 36 or 48 hours, because you're trying to get your metabolism under order, do you think that in all of its brilliance, your body's going to go, oh, I'm hungry, I need energy, and start going, this thing called muscle, it moves me around, it keeps me up and moving. I'm going to go eat up all that muscle, and that fat that's sitting over there is just kind of a storage unit, but I'm not going to use it. No, it doesn't. It tells you to start using the fat when the insulin is under control. So eating every 2 hours, you're just spiking your insulin up and you're not ever getting that down. Then you are at danger of losing muscle. But with intermittent fasting, your body's going to start to use up old dead junk cells and your fat and convert that into what keeps you running before it starts using up your muscle cells. So you can maintain muscle with short bursts of fat. And I talked about, I'm going to be divulging this in a bit, but I am going to be working with a doctor. We're going to be going live together soon, and we're going to talk a lot more about fasting and how much it works, as well as the protocol I use. Thank you. So it also causes gender confusion. Absolutely. So let's talk about that, Stephen. I know this is a hot topic, and I know that some people are not going to like it. That's fine. You don't have to be here. Some people are going to totally agree. That's fine. I love you here. But let's talk about this whole PCOS, androgen, androgen, estrogen thing that we were talking about just a minute ago. So you're right. When you have insulin resistance, has anybody noticed that kids are going through puberty earlier and earlier? In the late 1800s, our kids were hitting puberty, converting more into adulthood and having their hormones start to kick in around the age of 16. Around the beginning of this century, it started being more like 12 to 14. So we'd already shaved a couple of years off. Now kids are going into puberty sooner. But recently, what they're finding is that kids are going into puberty as early as 8. Okay, so what? What does that matter? It matters a lot. When you have these these increased, not excess, increased amounts of hormones in the body, it starts creating growth, and it starts changing the way kids feel about themselves. So they're having sexual urges and tendencies earlier. At the same time, their body and their brain has not um, progressed enough to handle that. There's a reason that puberty happened at 16, because biologically, that's when we can start to understand what's going on. Kids at 6 and 7 don't understand the difference between mommy and daddy and how a child is made, and they just know love is love, right? And then they have this body that's confused because it's maturing too quickly. But also, what's happening is their growth plates are not yet developed, and now you have this excess of androgens and sex hormones that's creating this growth. Now those kids are going to have problems with bone function and connective tissue dysfunction as they grow. They're going to have dysregulation of their hormones, and it all gets extremely confusing. And what happens is, even though like young men who go through this may have sexual urges earlier, because they went through puberty so quickly and their insulin levels are rising, they're going to get to a place where they're having erectile dysfunction. So now they're like, oh, well, I have these urges, but sorry guys, I can't get it up. I'm not functioning properly. There's something wrong with me. I must not be what I think I am. I must be something else. And now there's this gender confusion going on with some of the kids because they're going through puberty at 8 years old instead of at 16 years old. There's a whole lot that happens in the brain between 8 and 16, even between 16 and 21. There's a lot of function that doesn't finish, especially reasoning, that doesn't finish in the brain until 21, 22, 23 years old. And yet we're expecting an 8-year-old who doesn't even understand any of this to tell us what they are when we know what they are. Stop it. Okay, so the people that are doing the shots and losing weight, they think because they've lost the weight, a lot of weight, they're doing great. They don't want to hear anything else is going on. Thank you, Melba. I appreciate that too. And so, yeah, I am not a big proponent of medications, and this doctor that I'm going to be working with, we've had long, deep conversations about that. When doctors are giving people weight loss drugs that were meant for diabetes, and it kind of negates all of the stuff that has to go on in your body, and they're not looking at So let's talk. So much is running through my head, but they're getting the weight loss they want, and they feel like they're getting their numbers down, but are they? Because they're still going to go back to eating the way they were. They're still going to go back to an imperfect food environment. They're still going to go back to all the stuff that created the illness in the first place, because medications do not cure food-borne diseases. A medication cannot fix a food problem. So they may lose weight. Many of them are having that hyperplastic fat cells. So now they got 4 fat cells to store. They've overloaded their pancreas. There's a lot of pancreatic disorders because you're already producing too much insulin. Part of what GLP-1s are doing is they're cueing the pancreas to create even more insulin to try and get those sugar levels down. And there's a number of other factors for the fat, but they're having all of these issues. Like I was telling this doctor, I've had so many people reach out to me, thyroid issues, liver issues, bladder issues, and even gastroparesis, where they can't even get the food to pass through their colon now because of those medications. So yeah, good luck with that. You want the quick fix, understand. Anytime, if I buy a car, I want a car that somebody took some time to build. I don't want one that was built in 5 minutes, because that shit's going to break down. All right. Thank you for those questions. I don't often go off into some of those issues, but it's necessary. You guys, if we're wondering why this is all happening to our kids, we need to understand what's really happening. So the question, how long does implementing fiber take to lead to ovulation? The specific fiber that I'm using, and I'll be doing a video on why this fiber, some information from Dr. Lustig about fiber, and then some information about the specific fibers that I'm using. Let's go over that. But I want to tell you, get your answer quick, and then I'm going to tell you why. So a number of the ladies that have been doing this system, the younger ones, because insulin resistance reverses quicker the less time it has had a hold on your body. So they've had normal ovulation within the first 4 weeks after starting the system. And with one of them within the first 3 months after being told she was probably never going to have children, conceived a child, has now had that child. The child is a couple of years old. So it's going to look different for different people. Some people, it may take a few months. Some people may see it in the first month, depending on how insulin resistant they are, how consistent they are, and how much they listen to those 6 simple steps that I talk about all the time. Okay. So, I'm just looking for more. Does this have hypoglycemia too? Insulin resistance can cause reactive hypoglycemia. Yes, we went over that a little bit earlier. I can go over it again if you need me to. Obviously, I do, because you aren't here for it. So Melba says one of her granddaughters started at 9. She was not growing to her age. She had to take shots. What it freaked me out was it was the same shot doctor was giving you to kill endometriosis. You guys, yeah, those medications for kids, we have to understand that our bodies were made to grow at a certain rate to keep our brain and our experiences in line with what's happening within our body. And when we're forcing 8 and 9-year-old kids to understand the experiences of a 16-year-old kid and what's happening in their body at that point in time, it's just that those 8 years. Look, as an adult, how many of you guys agree that, like, for me, I know for me, 8 years, like, I'm 59. Do I see the world completely differently than I did at 51? Yeah, I do, because I have a mindset of growth, and so I'm continually trying to learn. That 8-year time gap for me has been huge, completely changed my life, completely changed my views on things, especially things like insulin resistance. So can you imagine taking an 8-year-old child who's never been out there, never had any experiences, forcing their body to go through something too quickly that they were never biologically meant to go through, and now that child is having mood disorders, and they're having problems, and they don't feel like they fit in the world, and they don't understand all the feelings they're having. It's devastating. So Melba says she worries that now at 19, her daughter will have a weight problem. You guys, I realize now, and in talking to my doctors and in working through all this stuff, that first thing, I had a head trauma at 15, and then combined with the food My mother thought she was giving us love when she fed us all the time, and what she fed us was a lot of fruit juice, a lot of refined flours and sugars. I was probably insulin resistant since my late teens. Okay. She can do the system and get it under control. I have an 11-year-old granddaughter who does the protocol. She actually just turned 12. I need to correct myself. She's 12. She's reversed her prediabetes, lost a ton of weight, got her mood. She's such a joyous girl now. When a year ago she was moody and confused, all the stuff we were just talking about, she's feeling much better and doing much better now. So yes, it does affect our children too, not just us 6-year-olds. It affects those 10 and 11-year-olds as well, 8-year-olds. Okay, so hypoglycemia, reactive hypoglycemia, because somebody asked again. I'll try and make it quick. When we have insulin resistance, or the cells are resistant to this hormone that's transporting energy, what happens is we eat food and we have this, I skipped a step. A whole bunch of steps. How we get there is we're eating food that's converting to energy too quickly. It's pumping up this need for insulin. Insulin gets trained just like we get trained. So the more we pump up that sugar level, the more we tell insulin it's needed, the higher it's going to go and the longer it's going to stay out there, because you've told it you need it all the time, because it is what's taking the energy you just ate and delivering it to the cells. Cells get tired of hearing from it because it's constantly knocking on their doors. That's called insulin resistance. But insulin is still high and it still is doing its job of delivering energy. Well, how is it delivering energy if the cells are resistant? There are some cells that are drama queens and they'll take up excess of it even when you're insulin resistant. And then there's the fat cells, the storage house, where that will go. So insulin is still depositing the energy, although maybe not to the areas we need it. And then now you have this system where insulin is high. You've told it you're going to spike your sugars. You've told it you're going to need all of this. So it sees the sugar come in, it takes that and it delivers it, and it comes back and goes, okay, I'm ready. But it delivered that so quickly that now you had this spike of sugar, and insulin delivers it because it's got to get back out and do it, because you're going to do it again. Chips, candy bars, soda pops, fruit juices, whatever, eating all the time, constantly snacking, yada, yada, yada. So it delivers that energy, glucose, in your system. Now that drops and it actually can go too low because insulin is so fervent about doing its job. Now you have this reactive hypoglycemia where your blood sugar levels drop and you're starting to feel cold and tired and fatigued and brain fog, and you just don't understand. And so typically, and I love that so many doctors are speaking out against the American Diabetes Association because they've gotten it wrong for so many years. But now what you're told, right, is to go eat some really high carbohydrate food to get that blood sugar level back up. What we really need to do is start changing the food that you're eating and making sure that you're not getting those insulin spikes. And it's going to look a little different for hypoglycemic people. Um, but you can get that normalized. Now, is insulin resistance the only cause of hypoglycemia? No. So I hope you're working with your doctor. But if you feel like you have a number of these other symptoms, why not address the insulin resistance and see if that hypoglycemia goes away? It did for me. For years, I struggled with this fatigue after I ate, couldn't explain it. The best I got was that my body was using up all my energy trying to digest the food I just ate. Kind of right, but mostly wrong. And that was from doctors. Now I know that it's actually that my body was too efficient at delivering that energy, and now I was left in an energy deficit and feeling cold, tired, fatigued, like I wanted to pass out, and that's dangerous. Again, what you may have missed is that your blood sugars, when you're metabolically healthy, so you have two hormones, we'll go over this in a second, but when you can switch between those hormones and you're metabolically healthy, your body's not going to have this reaction to have that low glycemia. So you can go down to about 60 and be okay and be actually healthy in the absence of having those shivers, of that fatigue, of the brain fog or the migraines or any of that stuff that's going on. And it can normalize. Your body will go through the cycle of ups and downs with your sugars, but the slamming up and down of the sugars is what's causing you the problem. And that's what we've got to stop slamming doors, basically. So we can regulate that out by addressing our insulin, But yeah, definitely check with your doctor, because all of these things, there's multiple actions to it. They're only just now starting to find enough. Everybody's got an eye on insulin right now. So the more they're studying and the more they're looking, oh, hey, this caused this, or this was linked to that. Is it linked to this? And they're doing studies, and they're uncovering more and more every day how much insulin is actually related to all of this stuff in 3 to 6 months. So Ebonics, I would definitely try the system. Look, you get 90-day money back guarantee, and if it's not working and you're not getting where you want to, and you're consistent and you follow my coaching, you get me for coaching for free, then you're going to get your money back. But what my prayer would be is that you actually get your health back and you have a child conceived within those 3 to 6 months. But you've got to start investing in yourself and changing that metabolic reproductive health. Okay. um, Eat more fiber. We're going to talk about that, because it's not just one type of fiber. Endocrinologist for insulin issues. Endocrinologist. Okay. Insulin causes melasma and fiber. So I'm going to deal with the fiber first. And we're going to kind of go into the protocol that I use really quickly, because it's important. So you guys have all heard all the stuff, and we're going to go into more stuff according to what you guys need. Fiber, 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 fiber. Not all fiber is equal. Okay. There's soluble fiber, and there's insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber soaks up water. It kind of expands. It's globular. It makes this gelatin mass. Insoluble fiber is usually the long stringy stuff like in celery. And what it does is it creates this matrix, this mesh matrix in your gut. So that's their great, but it has these gaps in it, right? So stuff still is getting through. The globular fiber, the soluble fiber, then makes this gelatin mass that goes in and plugs the holes. But the soluble fiber needs the insoluble fiber to create the structure for it to create this barrier to help you slow down your sugars and your fats and this production of cholesterol and all of that in your system. So it takes both types of fiber. So when we look at this, there's one type of fiber in here. There's actually two types of fiber in here. But the main ingredient is psyllium husk. Now, psyllium husk is okay, but it's not directly the fiber that you need for blood sugar levels. So you need both types of fiber in the right amounts to create this barrier so that you can get better. Now, it's found in foods, but like the list of the foods that have these fibers in them is huge, and I don't have the brain space, nor does my refrigerator have the space, nor can I eat all of that in one sitting, so I supplement. This this fiber that I use has 7 different types of soluble and insoluble fiber, scientifically combined, real food products that create that matrix and slow that down. So this brings down blood sugar. Science shows that there's scientific studies that shows that it actually brings down the blood sugar levels, which means it's allowing the insulin levels to normalize. That's the fiber I use. You can get it by going to my profile link, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But that's what you need, not just one type of fiber. I've had so many people who are like, I don't want to spend $5 a day on the 3 packets. 3 packets cost $5 a day. I don't want to spend that. So I'm just going to go do this. And then they call me back and they're like, Misha, I tried that stuff. It didn't work. I have one client whose husband was that way. He was like, I'm just going to do this fiber because it's the same, and you're silly spending all this money on this product, and you don't know what you're talking about. One day he ran out of this stuff that he took to work with him every day. She gave him some of this stuff, and he took it in, and that day he came home and said, wow, there's a huge difference between this and this. I'm never buying this again. Okay. So that's the fiber I use. By the way, the amount of fiber in here, it's only about 3 grams of fiber, but it's not just the amount of fiber. It's the type of fiber and the specific blend of fiber that's doing the good. I will be putting up a video. I'm working on editing it right now on fiber and all of this, and some information from Dr. Lustig, and then why I use this, because it just makes it easy. Guys, how many of you guys feel like I have ADD and other things. I just feel overwhelmed all the time. I don't want to have to make more decisions and plan more stuff out. You guys, I have spreadsheets everywhere to try and keep me on track. This makes it easy. A tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat my first 2 biggest meals of the day. I don't have to worry. If I'm at a restaurant, do they have the right kinds of food for the fibers that I want? No, I have it right here. I mix it in some water in this and shake it up and drink it down. I'm good. It reversed my diabetes, my hypertension, and a number of other things. That's the fiber I use. It's simple, it's easy. That's the fiber that these girls that are using that are overcoming their PCOS and starting the families they were told they wouldn't have. Men with erectile dysfunction are starting to have normal function and normal testosterone levels. I can go into that if anybody wants to know. So, and then getting the blood sugar levels under control, getting IBS under control, vertigo, anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's. You guys, if you have somebody who's going into Alzheimer's, you love them, and you don't want to walk in one day and say, they don't know who I am. They're afraid of me. You want them to preserve their brain. This system, through the actions of getting insulin under control, and this tea, which was actually developed as a mental health tea, can and has helped people who are heading into Alzheimer's. I was one. My kids were afraid, and I have my brain function is so much better now than it was even 7, 8 years ago. Okay, so Melba says, I would say that because I went to the pharmacy and got the tester, and your reading was 190. A few days later, it was 157. So it's all over the place. You're scared to take it again to see what it is. I'm not sure what were we talking about? Blood sugars, sugars, unless it's just after a meal, should not be up at 157, 190. Between meals, it's normal for your blood sugars to drop down under 100 and even as low as 60. But if it's spiking too high, that's a problem too. Okay, talk to me. Magical Alchemy says, I'm having trouble sticking with the routine, but did experience the benefits of the tea. So let's go over why. Have you gotten coaching on it, on the system? It's actually so easy to use and it's very flexible. I'd love to help you with that if I could understand why you were having trouble sticking with the routine. You guys, but let's be real. Every once in a while, because I have ADHD, I forget to take my fiber beforehand. I just take it as soon as I can. It works best when it's 10 minutes before. It has all those great actions, slows down your hunger, slows down the delivery of food into your system, all of that if you take it 10 minutes before. The cleanse is an amazing idea. So, okay. Yeah, you guys, I'm sorry. I mean, we're all human, and I know that not every coach is doing all that they should. I sometimes don't either. So, but if you ask me questions, I will always answer them. Okay. So it's found in my profile link. You just go up here to my profile. The very top link is going to show you where to purchase it. I'll go there in just a minute, but I should put that link over on Facebook and YouTube right now. It's a two-step system, a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before you eat anything that's going to help you with blood sugar levels. The tea helps with blood sugar levels, and we're going to call the tea, or not the tea, the helps with that, blood sugar regulation and insulin regulation. This acts like a GLP-1, although it's all natural and not putting the load on your liver, kidneys, and pancreas like those medications do. So this is helping you feel satiated. It's helping you feel good and happy. When you feel happy, you're less likely to want to overeat, right? So 2 actions, 1 system. The cleanse. Now, what we all need to understand is that not everybody, we're not all at the same place with our insulin resistance. So some of us have been insulin resistant long enough that it's created this excess of inflammation and negative gut bacteria, and all of these things. We're fighting an uphill battle. So I stay on the system, but I actually do the cleanse about, hey Jackie, I do the cleanse about twice a year. So if you're struggling and you need to get some help, yeah, give your cells the help, give your gut the help. How I did the cleanse, our cleanse is a 3-step system. So you're doing a herbal gel capsule in the morning that helps remove toxins, releases those parasites and toxins from your intestinal lining. Then there's a whole different fiber, because remember, fiber is not all the same. the fiber in the cleanse, there's like 27 different types of fiber in that you get with the cleanse. And that's just helping like get all of that out. Okay. So you do the tablet in the morning, it's helping release stuff. You do the fiber after, that's helping clear it out. And then there's an aloe. I would do the aloe one. And just because I feel like I have enough drinks in the day, you can do a tea, or you can do an aloe. If you want to have a nightly tea, great. For me, I like to just take the aloe tablet. That helps keep everything softened up so that it can keep moving through and get those toxins that have been released to get moving on through. We want you out. We don't want you reabsorbing. We want you out. That's the cleanse. But how I did it with the system was I would wake up. First thing I would do is my Paraway, that remove the toxins part. I would wait about 20 minutes, and then I would start having my tea. And then somewhere in the mid-morning, I would have the live fiber, the 27 different types of fiber, to help all of that stuff that just got released get moving out. Then I would do the rest of the system the same. So tea in the morning. Jackie. I kind of liked it though. And then I would have the balance before my meals, because the 27 fibers in the live fiber can help minimally reduce the glucose, but it's really there to clean you out. This is really aimed at reducing your glucose. So yeah, I had fiber 3 times a day. Yay, send it, send it. So, and then I would just, thank you. I was thinking about you when I was picking out glasses today. I totally thought about you. Before bed, is going to have the out. It's going to help keep things moving. Drink a lot of water. But you guys, the first time I did the cleanse, I was shocked at what I saw come out of my body. I'd heard stories, didn't know that it applied to me. I have less of, because I do the cleanse about twice a year, I have less of that happening. If you're, oh no, I hate when my favorite glasses get destroyed. This pops off or somehow it gets broken because I have grandkids. But magical alchemy. Oh, I hope you're okay, Jackie. Um, you can do the cleanse up to 3 months. I wouldn't do it past 3 months. It depends on how much you need to do, how much cleanup you have to do in your system. Do the cleanse for at least the full month. Now, the cool thing is you get enough of the aloe and enough of the fiber that to do a second month, you really just need to buy another bottle of the Paraway. Talk later. So get those, you can do that. I would utilize that, the fact that you get enough of the other 2 products, to just get the extra bottle of Paraway and at least do the cleanse your first time for this helping clean up. I'm not traveling right now because I'm moving in 2 weeks. So I'm like so overwhelmed trying to get all of this done and the cleanse again. So I can open up that link on my TikTok or on my landing page. Yeah, it's moving is crazy, but I'll be so happy. You'll see a very joyous Misha. I love the spot I'm in, but there's very specific reasons I'm moving. So magical alchemy ADHD right here. Yeah, like you guys look at. This is my life. I have lists. This is this week. I got to make sure that I have check marks that fill it up to down. So I decide somehow during the week to make sure I'm getting things I need. ADHD. We all learn how to manage it and function in the world. So, all right, the cleanse. The cleanse is helping release these toxins and parasites that have been built up in our gut and get them out of there. Our immune health is held in our gut, 70%. So the prebiotics from the system and the energy that you're getting from the system and the reduction of insulin is helping your gut cells turn over. But if you've been insulin resistant for a while, you're probably overloaded with negative gut microbiome and bacteria. So the cleanse you can do right alongside the system. You don't have to stop the system to do the cleanse, but it's going to help pull out some of those excess junk cells and toxins. And by the way, 124 pounds. Jackie, I really need to get your story on a video. Uh, I don't, I've had colonoscopies in the past, and I was actually awake for part of one because they didn't give me enough anesthesia. That was trippy. Um, and I don't remember seeing parasites in my colon when they did a colonoscopy, but I'm going to tell you, when I did the cleanse, there was parasites in that stuff that came out. There was a lot of them, and I was a little scared that all that had been living inside of me. I started feeling much better after that. We've had ladies who've had cystic acne problems who've cleared it up. They did the cleanse consistently alongside the system for like 3 months. Oh, yeah. When it's swimming in the toilet bowl, I think that's a chunk of my colon that's swimming in the toilet bowl. And we have doctors who studied and created the cleanse who will say otherwise as well. In fact, Dr. Lustig, in the video that I'm going to put up today, it talks about it briefly, but the fibers that we're using, along with, you can add the cleanse in, it actually, you have junk hanging on in the inside of your colon that maybe not be able to be seen by a colonoscopy, but it could be causing IBS, Crohn's, all of these things, even some diverticuli. And I'm not a, so I can't speak to his knowledge or what he's saying, but I'm a human being with a real body who's lived through some stuff, right? I was very skeptical about the cleanse, but I did it. And because I worked in medical and I've faced feces before, I watched that toilet every day to see, is there really anything in here? Is there really anything happening? Sometimes there was like this foam stuff. That's part of the parasites that are creating this in there. That's not chunks of colon creating a foam. When the stuff that's left over, this is going to get graphic. So if you don't want to hear it, turn off right now. But as my gut started clearing up, you know, it's like there's one chunk of waste here and one chunk of waste here, and you could actually see stuff in the middle, and they're swimming. It's moving through the toilet. Is that chunks of my colon that's connecting these two pieces of waste that is actually swimming through the toilet? Like, where am I? What am I doing? No. And it was horrifying to see at first. But yeah, the cleanse, you can listen and do whatever you want to do. That's the cool thing. This is your life. You get to choose. But I'm just gonna say, for me, it was worthwhile, and I do it, like I said, about twice a year. It's coming up time for me to do it again soon. In fact, I'm so much information. I was going to do a 36 and 12 fast at the beginning of the year. Doctor who's talking about doing a 48-hour fast every week. So I'm going to take a look at his system. It may be possible that we're working into this 48 and 12 fast and seeing how that can go. Regardless, I'll do the cleanse and the Feel Great system alongside. We had some conversation about that. So I'm all about cleaning up. The more you've been sick, the longer you've been sick, the more of this junk is just kind of riding around in your body. And the more I believe that we need to help our body get back to homeostasis, get back to where it's functioning naturally and healthy. Okay. So you know what? If it's giving you food, and if it's really not parasites that's coming out, but you're just cleaning up the junk that's clinging to the outsides of your colon or the insides of your colon, that yeah, yeah, that's still healthy to me. So let's take a look at that too, because 70% of the immune cells are held in the gut. So if it eats parasites, if that doctor doesn't want to believe there's parasites, even if it's not parasites, there's all this other stuff that's kind of like a film this over the inside of your colon that's causing problems or inflammation, spots that are just irritated. And getting that cleaned out is probably worth it as well. Yeah, let me just go in there right now. I can do it actually while we're on here. So it's there. I just don't always keep it opened because I don't want people to get confused. When there's too much stuff, people get confused, and I just want to keep it simple. So I want people to understand that most people, the majority of things are going to be able to be helped by getting their insulin under control and using the protocol. So, but these other things help, and especially when you have other illness. Like there is not one thing in life that's a magic bullet. I want to say that. But Jeep girl, we need to talk. Okay, the cleanse is now live on that link tree. So, Jeep Girl, there's so many questions I don't know. Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking your tea hot? Are you drinking your tea first thing in the morning? Are you making sure you're hitting 16 hours of fasting? Are you reducing the amount of sugars in your system? If you're extremely resistant to weight loss, okay, that like I think Rav himself, it took about 3 months for him to start to lose weight. Okay, that's perfect amount. That's great. So you could be like I was and just be extremely insulin resistant. That's why I'm excited to see what this doctor has, because although we both agree with the system, we both agree that insulin resistance looks different for everybody, and that some people are more insulin resistant than others, regardless of their numbers, and it could take longer or extra actions to get it done. If you're having problems with losing weight, start extending your fasting period. Try lost 115 pounds in 8 months. And yeah, OMAD can work, and a lot of people like it. So if that works for you, do that, because I have a number of people who do OMAD, but they just add the protocol in to make sure they're getting nutrients and all the actions that they need when they do eat. And becoming more metabolically flexible is a piece of it, but taking care of the gut microbiome and all of that's another piece of it. So I love fasting. Oh, so somebody lost their pancreas, passed from pancreatic cancer. Oh, wow. So the my brain is split. There's two different pathways I want to go right now. There is some truth to you being genetically more disposed to diabetes, right? To all of those things. That's undeniable. There's some genetic disposition to that. Through some studies on twins and whatnot, they've proven that. But so yes, it's going to change how your body reacts to food and the energy that comes in. But the bigger piece I would invite people to look at is within a family, we typically all eat the same and have the same food habits, and that's huge in this as well. Oh, yeah. So within the next couple of weeks, and I'll be announcing it here. It'll probably be on a Tuesday night, about 6 p.m. when I start going live with this doctor, and we're going to be talking a lot about fasting and what lengths of fasting are better for you or not, and when the benefits start to die off and why we want to do fasting. We're going to go into all of that stuff, so look out for that, and I'll probably do some videos announcing it. Um, yeah, a 56-hour fast is great, but really past about 48, it's most of the benefits are there. I've done 5, 7, and 10 days, but I'm also going to say part of the reason I healed so much is because of those longer fasts and allowing my body rest and time to clean out the junk that had been built up for years. I still use the system. I still do the tea when I fast to help with the hunger cravings. One fast I still did the fiber in. Uh, and I don't know enough about autophagy. Now, one metabolic scientist told me that this does not stop autophagy. Other scientists are stuck in the fact that anything besides water stops autophagy. So I know I experienced tons of benefits. Still did the balance and the tea during the fast on one of the fasts because I like to just try stuff out, and had really great results from that. Lucia, hello from Toronto. No, I'm not a holistic doctor. You guys, another crazy piece. I'm going to tell a little story for a second. Hair loss actually is linked to insulin resistance as well. And Jeep Girl 16 to 18 is great. So I'll talk about a couple of these other things. So when you're looking at your plate, Jeep Girl, you want to do your balance first. You know that. About 10 minutes is the optimal time. 20 minutes is starting to get a little too long. Less than 10 minutes is not giving enough time for that matrix to build in your gut, but it still works. Just get it in if you forget. Then you want to make sure you're getting protein on your plate first. Fill up with those proteins. It's going to help keep your insulin levels down. It's going to help you feel fuller longer, and it's going to deliver a lot of building blocks that you need in this whole metabolic flexibility thing and getting muscle back on your body. Then you want to focus on fats. Yes, they're high in calories, but guess what? They don't turn into that glucose that's causing fat gain. Dietary fats like avocado, olive oil do not cause fat gain on the body. The seed oils can through a factor of inflammation and some insulin spiking, but fiber, protein, fats, and then limit your carbs. If you're not seeing weight loss, we should work on getting you to 30 to 20 grams of carbs a day or less. Use a fat track or a calorie tracker to get that. Once you've had the weight loss, you can kind of see, can I add a little more carbohydrates back in? You may be genetically disposed to need less carbohydrates. That's why some people do really well on the carnivore diet and some people don't. Why some people do really well with veganism and some people don't, because we're all genetically a little different. So the story time, and then we're going to go into hair loss. I actually, as an adult, I'd been doing whatever it took. I got divorced when my kids were like 6 and 9. So then I was the struggling single mom doing whatever it took to make money, to keep a roof over their head, keep them fed, and not make them feel like they were, the disadvantaged kids at school. So my life was about whatever could make me money. I actually worked in construction as a builder. I did a little bit of bookkeeping, accounting. I ran some offices. I ran a sewing floor. I did production and design of ski wear. But when my kids were grown, I went back to school and started learning uh, medical. And my intention was to finish off a nursing degree and then get like a nurse practitioner or something. But in the middle of it all, I fell, tore my thumb off, had a couple of other things happen. There was a time when I thought I wasn't even going to have this thumb. You guys, it doesn't seem like a big thing. Your thumb is hugely important. Opening doors, all of that stuff, writing. I would have to write with these two pens, and it caused a lot of stress. So I wanted to be a doctor, but I just was like, by the time I finish it off now at this age, I'm not, I'll be at retirement age before I finish the education. So it was a tough decision, but a number of things made it so I did not choose that route, although I want to. So the carb amount for you, Jeep Girl, let's look at getting you under 30 grams of carbohydrates and get your body moving. Do at least 30 minutes of walking and get your carbohydrates under 30, and let's see what happens with that. Now, if you haven't had your hormones tested, if you haven't had that done, that could be part of it too. So like I just did a full hormone panel. Thyroid hormones being out of whack could be causing that. If you're on your 3rd month, it maybe not have been had time for all of those hormones to start to regulate. So if your cortisol levels are high, by the way, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're under constant stress, and ADHD has that a lot, and your cortisol levels are off, you're going to have a hard time losing weight. There's a whole lot that could go into that. I want to go back to hair loss because somebody very kindly commented and said hair loss. For women, it's a kind of a factor of PCOS, but it's also, and somebody also mentioned melasma. Remind me, melasma. So when your cells get resistant and you're not converting androgens into estrogens, you're going to have some hair loss from that PCOS type symptom where you have too much and testosterone, male pattern baldness. I was going, you guys can't really see it on the live, but every once in a while it cracks me up because I'll get up and there's these little hairs, they're kind of right there. That's new growth since I started the system, and more new growth coming in. I haven't cut my bangs or any of that for a long, long time. Now, this on the side of my head, you can kind of see that's just kind of natural hair, but this all was going bald. You couldn't see it because I would always keep my hair pulled forward, but I was going bald right here when I started the system. All of this has been growing in too. So your hair can come back. My eyesight reversed. I've reversed 10 years of damage on my eyesight. So yes, it can happen. Melasma is linked to insulin resistance in this. When you're insulin resistant, most of the cells are not taking up enough energy, but there are a few cells. The 3 I like to talk about the most are melanin, the cells that create melanin. So now you have excess melanin and it looks patchy, right? Because there's just pools of this excess skin color. And I had melasma all down my face. I had the dark rings on my neck, my elbows, my knees. That's all gone. I still have some freckles, but whatever. So melasma is an overproduction of that melanin if there's too much insulin in your system. Okay. Oh, so you're just going to go. Nazim asked, oof, and I don't have my chat over here open. What am I doing? Okay, so the reason I don't talk about it a lot, Nazim, is because I really do want you to go through my link. You're going to get coaching. You've heard some people say they're not getting coaching. You're going to get to ask me questions. I'm going to help you with everything, with all the knowledge I have. And if I don't have answers, like somebody was asking about cholesterol, so I went and because I didn't have a good answer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing. But I found some information from a doctor and sent her the information to help her make sense of her cholesterol panel and why what's happening with her may be happening. So you get all of that kind of coaching. When you buy on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, you don't get the guarantees, you don't get a coach, you don't get any of that. So I protect it a little bit, mostly for you guys, because I want you to have that. There's nothing more frustrating in my day than to get an angry text from somebody who says, I ordered the system, I didn't get a call from you. And then to find out they ordered on Amazon. I can't help you. So go to my profile link. We're just going to look at it right now, you guys. I dropped the link in Facebook and YouTube. And over on TikTok, this is what you're going to do. You're going to tap on my picture up above, and then when the white box below us comes up, or at the end of the live, you're going to find my, well, come on, dysfunction today. Why? There. When that comes up, you're going to see my picture right under the red lights. There's this link. Tap on that link. It's going to take you to my link tree. And this is where you're going to order the system. So let's go through that really quick. And it is almost time for me to be done because my internet's going to start cutting out. But this top link, the system I use, that's going to take you directly to the company website. This is how you know you're going to get the guarantees and stuff. You have to end up on the company website. There should be somebody's name up at the top. You want to make sure it says Michelle if you want to work with me. The coaching is for free. Then you're going to click on the buy now. Interesting thing, guys, too. It's going to ask you to become a member. There's no cost. There's no implication of that. Other than that, when you become a member, you attach to me and you buy discounts, you're getting the better price. If you just purchase as a customer, you're going to pay more. And I try to catch that as much as I can and explain it to people, but just do the membership when it comes up. It's not like you have to pay $40 a year or anything. It just means that you were directed and you're getting my discount. So that's where you're going to order it. There's 30 of the tea you can see up there, 60 of the pre-meal drink. You have a choice of 3 different flavors. Now the tea part, you can have hot or cold. You can drink slowly like I've been doing. But the balance part, the pre-meal drink needs just in cold water and drink immediately. It does cost about $5 a day. So it looks like that. If you do the one time, you're paying $159, plus you're paying shipping, plus you're not getting all the free stuff. You do the subscription, which is really just an auto refill that is not a time commitment, but it just says, they can count on your order the next month. So they're going to have an idea of how much they have to produce. For that, they give you a discount, $5. They're not going to charge you the shipping. You can add other stuff to your order too and not pay shipping on any of it. You can cancel that at any time, plus free hand mixer, the free bottle, all of that. And then every once in a while have free stuff come out that they reward you with if you've been on subscription. That's where you're going to order it. That's how easy it is. That's it. It's just a link in my profile, but it takes you directly to the company website. Okay. I did not do it. I did so in Maryland, they're really funky, and I couldn't do the test I wanted to. The best test, and I am not familiar with the Dutch test, Lucia, so I'm going to look that up. If you have information for me, let me know. I did a women's health and wellness test. So I had my sex hormones in it, had my thyroid, all those. For me, it had the LHFSH really applicable to me now, but it is. Working in a doctor's office, I'm not also a proponent of blood draws for your hormones. Your hormones are sitting in the red blood cells. They try to standardize for it, right? But who wants something that's standardized? I want the real answer. Those hormones sit in the platelet. When we spin that blood down, there's the tube that goes in for your blood draw actually spins those platelets off and leaves serum left. The part that they're testing is a liquid called the serum, and very little of hormone ends up in there, like in your platelets. So again, I tried to standardize it, but with the blood work, and they also try to standardize that, they ask you to last because they're trying. But your hormones or sex going up a month, so that one, and throughout the day, rapidly throughout the day. So if they don't have that information and they just do it by blood, or you're just at a point in the day, and who knows when your testosterone levels are high or low, they're trying to balance that out. They're not getting a real clear picture. Don't like blood work for it. Saliva testing does much better. You're getting a clearer picture of the hormones, and you get it spaced throughout the day so they can kind of see as hormones rise and fall throughout these, what's happening with your hormones. The best one, when we were working in the office, it's a little more expensive. It did run at that time about like $397, but it was a urine panel that had everything. So the granddaddy hormones like pregnenolone in there, um, your other hormones are, but it also had all the sex hormones and the thyroid hormones, and it had some of the satiety hormones as well as cortisol. I have to look at the test. I'm really interested to see what that is. What to do for men for us. It's for you guys, it's a little different. Insulin resistance is still occurring. For you, what's happening is you're able to enough testosterone, you're having estrogen, and that imbalance in his body can also some hair loss. Get your insulin under your hair. Now, can I promise you that you have lost is going to come back? I can't. My hair came back in as a woman, but for men, it's a similar action with your hormones, and insulin is at the top of all of that. Yeah, will you send me a message on the Dutch test, Lucia? Because I'm actually this doctor that I'm going to be working with. We're probably going to, I need to get it sent to him, but I'd be interested. Oh, nice. You know what? You might appreciate this. I hope you do. I was on a live the other day, and it just happened to be somebody who was a proponent of right, and I'm not. We all know that Misha is not a proponent of any medications. But she was talking on there laughing because somebody said that their pharmacist probably knew more about the medications than a doctor does, and she got triggered. And I'm like, well, actually, after working in medical for years, after having family, we're not pharmacists, big reps. In my opinion, pharmacists do know more about the drugs because that's your specialty. Like you guys know more about the stuff than most doctors do. Like they're mowing a football field and you're growing the trees on it, whatever. But pharmacists absolutely know more about medications than doctors, in my opinion. Can't tell you how many pharmacists have saved patients' butts when the doctor gave them a wrong medication. Even with the little knowledge I have, I had to catch a few just with the basic knowledge. But pharmacists are very, very intelligent. Plus, I also have my ex's wife's daughter is a pharmacist. You have a monthly appointment with your pharmacist? And sorry for this one, though, but I don't see my pharmacist anymore because I'm off of all my medications. So, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen my pharmacist. Okay, guys, it's that time of day. I will be back around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Message me if there's something you want me to talk about tomorrow. If there's something you want me to do a video on, I will absolutely do it. Somebody asked about vertigo yesterday, and ta-da! Misha got her shudder, and there's a video up on vertigo today. Yeah, I'm so happy. Like, look, I'm not going to say medications are the devil. When I was septic, did antibiotics save my life? Yeah. When I had pain from surgeries or the one of 20 broken bones I've had or any of that stuff, did medications really help me? Yep. So I'm not saying that, but for this particular thing, I'm in agreement with medications. Deep girl that just triggered something also talking about cortisol. So, problems losing weight, you are under a lot of stress, whether you've had an injury or a recent surgery or anything like that that could spike your cortisol. That could be part of why. I would stick with the fact that you have been able to get rid of the eye drops because the pressure on your eyes is going down when you're on the system. That to me means it's working. Also, you want to understand that in these first few months, depending on how insulin resistant you are, when you're instant, your muscle tissue, because it's resistant, it's not getting the energy it needs. And if you're not eating protein, the energy to the protein to the cells, so you probably are in a muscle deficit. Most insulin resistance people are, but they have a surplus of fat, right? So yep, a band-aid. Medicine is a band-aid, it's not a cure. They're addressing the symptoms, not the cause, right? So Jeep Girl, we were talking, I lost it. We'll talk. Use the WhatsApp and just chat with me. It's about thriving, getting right. And so medications have definitely extended our lifespan, right? We are dying less from weird things, but that to me is where our medicine should be. Those viruses, those those injuries, those actions should not be something that's terrible. Insulin is a dietary disorder. Yeah, Rockefeller, you guys also understand when I talk about seed oils. Now, Stephen, you're going to get me going off on a whole nother tangent. But when I say I don't like seed oils and whatnot, I just keep it simple with the 5 that I taught. But I want you guys to understand this. He developed those like corn oil, canola, whatnot, as a cheap version of machine oil. There's a reason why they can cook in such a high heat time and time again, that it doesn't become flammable, that it doesn't become rancid right away, that they're just using it over and over. It's because it was developed as a machine oil. But Rockefeller, being the guy he is, was like, hey, how else can we use this and make more money off of this great product that we just discovered by actually using the waste product after they've produced the food that you want to eat? Take that waste product, they drench it in hexane, they super compress it, and they eke out every little bit of oil you can get out of it after drenching in a highly toxic cleaner. And it was never meant to be inside our bodies. It was supposed to be inside machines, but they were like, hey, it's made out of food. We can market it as a food product, and that's what you're eating. Okay. African holistic medicine. I'll check that out. Because y'all know, I have like 6 or 7 boxes out there full of books getting ready to go to the new house. Thank you, Lucia. Yeah. So look, I am here to represent, I'm going to be extremely honest. I am here to represent this system. I do a lot of education because I want people to understand what's happening and why the system makes sense. Now, does it make sense for everybody? Nope. And that's fine. But for everybody else who needs the help, I want them to understand why this is so important and what's happening, and actually hope save some more lives. So fluoride, yep. I try to stay away from fluoride, although I'm going to admit I still use regular toothpaste. But okay, guys, you all have been amazing. Lucia, it's so good to have you on here. Jeep Girl, it's great seeing you. And Stephen, you've been a blessing too. Melba, always good to see you. And Sally. And you guys, I will be back tomorrow morning. I'm super excited to get working with this doctor and bring you some really, really educational information from a doctor's perspective who also advocates for the system that I'm using. So look for that. It's coming up. All right. Everyone have a great day, Lucia. I hope you have an extremely blessed day. I'm so glad you stopped in. Okay, guys, we'll talk later. Bye.